to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for joining us. On this edition of the news, our major stories tonight: discontentment and fury within the family of the late Anicet Ekane as government authorities in Yaoundé reportedly carry out an autopsy on Ekane's corpse without the accord of the deceased family members. The Ekane family cry out over what they term the desecration of their brother's remains in Yaoundé. Family lawyers say the act is inadmissible and not to be pardoned. Details on what is happening in Yaoundé with Anicet Ekane's corpse, that would be in this news edition. And also the war in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon and Anicet will have drastic, lasting psychological effects and trauma on school children. And uneasy calm now reigns in Bamenda in the northwest region after gunshot exchanges between separatist fighters and the regular army or military. School children could be spotted taking cover on the benches for fear of receiving intentional or stray bullets. This story as well is part of our today's package. Plus, the people of Bacham in the Bambutus division of the west region of the country wants justice for their three daughters, all from the same family. The three ladies were kidnapped and killed by their captors on their way to Nigeria for business. Those are our lead stories, viewers. Details of those stories and more in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the confidence. The kidnapping and killing of three women from Bacham and Bamenju villages of the west region of Cameroon while on a business trip to Nigeria by kidnappers is a bitter pill to swallow by the paramount ruler of Bacham and also the Bacham people. His Royal Majesty Adrien Jetsa Sonkwe, in a communique signed on December 2, labels the act as condemnable. He exhorts authorities in Cameroon and Nigeria to ensure the perpetrators are brought to book. Innocent as with more.
The paramount ruler of Bacham in the West region, His Royal Majesty Adrien Jetsa Sonkwe, is having his peace of mind ravished by worries stemming from the murder of three business persons of Bacham and Bamenjo origins by kidnappers in Nigeria recently. The victims include Madame Fuoji Bognu Alice from Bacham, Madame Kwandevinai Beatrice, and Matatsa Sandra from Bamenjo, neighbor to Bacham. In a communique, the paramount ruler of Bacham condemns in the strongest term the killing of the three natives on a business trip to Nigeria, qualifying the act odious and coward. In the communique, His Royal Majesty Adrien Jetsa Sonkwe says that the three natives who were kidnapped on November 13 were killed even after their families had paid the demanded ransoms to the kidnappers. After enduring torture, they were killed in a barbaric manner, with their bodies dumped into a river. What disturbs the traditional ruler most is the continued extortion of money from the victims' families, knowing fully well that they had murdered them already, rather than telling the families the truth. This recent incident, according to the paramount ruler, reminds the Bacham community of Florence Ayafo, their daughter, the prison superintendent who was murdered gruesomely by separatist fighters in Bamenda in 2019. His Royal Majesty Adrien Jetsa Sonkwe, on behalf of the Bacham people and the Bamenjo people, headed by the paramount ruler, His Royal Majesty Cho Maurice, exhorts the Nigerian and Cameroonian authorities to investigate and shed light on the circumstances of the triple murder, identify and track down the perpetrators of the act, and present them before judicial authorities to answer to their crime and for the law to take its course. While awaiting results of the inquiry, the paramount ruler of Bacham extends his heartfelt condolences to the aggrieved families.
Still on insecurity, we talk about the ongoing war in the northwest and the southwest regions. Kidnapped on November 18, 2025 by suspected separatist fighters, Reverend Father John Berenice, has finally been set free. You all know this information was confirmed and is contained in a release made public by the Bamenda Archbishop, or the Archbishop of the Bamenda Archdiocese, His Grace Andrew Nkea. He thanked the Catholic faithful for their fervent prayers. Andrew Nkea also used the opportunity to reiterate calls for lasting solutions to the Anglophone crisis. Mala Glory reports.
The Bishop of Bamenda, Andrew Nkea, in an official document has announced the release of Reverend Father John Berenice, who was abducted on November 18, 2025 in the Northwest region. He was kidnapped alongside 6 other church worshippers, 6 priests and a lay person, pushing the church into darkness and uncertainty, described the bishop in his letter. And after 14 days in captivity, he was released. The Archbishop, in his letter dated December 3, 2025, addressed to clergy, religious communities and Catholic faithfuls, he celebrates Reverend John's release and appreciates the intense prayer campaigns carried out across the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda, as well as in churches at home and abroad, for the safety and release of Reverend Father John Berenice. With a joyous heart, the bishop sent a message of appreciation to those who called and sent messages of love to ensure the Reverend is released. In a special message, Archbishop Andrew Nkea thanked Pope Leo XIV for publicly mentioning Father John during the Angelus of 23rd November 2025 and requesting prayers for his release. The servant of God equally thanked faithfuls of Baba One and Catholic women associations for their ceaseless prayers. The Archbishop of Bamenda concluded his letter by calling for lasting solutions to the crisis plaguing the Anglophone regions and equally calling for lasting peace in Cameroon.
We stay in the Southwest region, where a school at 3 Corners, Ekwe, once a symbol of hope, has been left in ruins for 9 years now since the crisis began in the Northwest and the Southwest regions, depriving the children from quality education. According to some inhabitants of Ekwe, this is one of the devastating effects of the Anglophone crisis on education. Let's now go to that locality with Cedric Chakutu.
This is a school, once a beacon of hope, that now lies in ruins, abandoned for 9 years since the beginning of the Anglophone crisis in 3 Corners, Ekwe, southwest regions of the country.
All the buildings, they be damaged. They don't burn the class 5 and class 6, and they also burn the class 1 to class 4.
Here, while electricity and roads are being developed in other neighborhoods of the region, education takes a back seat, leaving children without access to quality learning.
If you can see the time, but that was Friday, 12 January 2018.
The inhabitants are counting on the government to hear their plight and provide a safe-equipped school for their children, education being the key to unlocking their potentials.
And to the death of Anicet, Ekane, the sudden passing away of the renowned Cameroonian political figure and freedom fighter Georges Anicet Ekane, while in government custody, has sparked outrage and renewed concerns in Buea over the state of fundamental rights and the safety of opinion leaders in Cameroon. Buea-based correspondent or reporter Rex Afon spoke to some opinion leaders in Buea and put together their thoughts in the report which comes up next.
The death of one of Cameroon's key political figures and freedom fighters, Georges Anicet Ekane, has provoked some persons in Buea to doubt where the fundamental rights of citizens has been kept.
It is the President of the Republic that he himself, that stated himself that we should no longer fall into the marquee in order to profess our opinions, but that we should come back to the country where there is freedom of expression. If Anicet Ekane was arrested because he had a different opinion, then the arrest was wrong.
This, they say, It's not the first time a thing like this is happening in Cameroon.
This is not the first case. This is not the first situation we're having it. We had Wazizi at the beginning of the Anglophone crisis. He died in detention. And we've had several others who have died, who have gone this way. So Mr. Ekane's case is not a new one. There are many people who have been dying that the media has not been able to cover.
Some say the death of Anicet Ekane paints a picture of an unsafe Cameroon for opinion leaders.
Some say because he agitated because of the results of the presidential election, which I think that is incumbent on every citizen of this country to agitate. Because democracy, as is supposed to be, is supposed to reflect the voice of the people. So if democracy is not reflecting the voice of the people, I tell you, Mr. Rex is dead on arrival.
Though investigations have been opened, there are doubts if it will yield any fruits.
Who is the person who is supposed to ensure that justice is to be done? The perpetrator? Because we know this is being done by the government. So who will bring the government to book? Those are the questions we need to ask. It's not as though a third party did it aside from the government, but the government that is supposed to guarantee justice is instead the people preying on citizens of this country.
Anicet Ekane died while in custody in Yaoundé after his utterances following the 12 October elections were judged to be criminal by the government.
And now there have been questions why the loud silence of artists in Cameroon after the death of Anicet Ekane. Yet, in just few hours after the death of an Ivorian artist, sparked a wave of emotions among Cameroonian artists and bloggers on social media, starkly contrasting the silence surrounding the passing of Anicet Ekane in Cameroon. Anicet, who is a symbol, or worse, a symbol of struggle and political resistance in the country. This disparity raises questions about the role and priorities of artists whose influence could be used to highlight the fight for dignity and freedom in Cameroon. Immaculate Fogui tells us more.
The stark contrast between the reactions to the death of Nadia Sabe, an actor and wife of popular Coupé de Calais artist Ariel Cheney, and that of Anicet Ekane raises questions about the priorities of civic engagement in Cameroon, especially among Cameroonian artists, bloggers and influencers. While social media was abuzz with tributes to the Ivorian actress who passed away from breast cancer, the death of Cameroon opposition leader Anicet Ekane, a symbol of resistance and political struggle, has gone almost unnoticed.
Vous comprenez simplement qu'on est dans une société où il y a une forme de déresponsabilisation.
The silence of Cameroonian artists and influencers is striking. They are quick to pay tribute to Nadia Sabe, but many stayed quiet about Anicet Ekane's death. This double standard is telling. Even the authorities are not left out. When soldiers in the northwest and southwest regions die, or when there is a natural catastrophe in Cameroon, most of the times they stay quiet. But when it happens in other countries, they are quick to express their condolences. It's terrible.
Nous sommes champions par rapport au deuil des gens plus que eux-mêmes au Cameroun.
For Ernesto Yene, this disparity reveals a structural problem linked to a lack of knowledge about local struggles, ignorance of national history, and lack of civic consciousness. To him, the role of Cameroon artists, once agents of change, now seems relegated to the background. This indifference reflects a broader issue. When teachers, lawyers, or artists face mistreatment, their peers often remain silent. Some artists prioritize personal gain over speaking out, hiding behind claims of neutral art. Ekane's death should have sparked outrage, but for many, it's just another ignored tragedy. They add that Anicet Ekane's legacy demands that we strive for a Cameroon where justice, solidarity and civic consciousness prevails.
An act of desecration, that is how the lawyers of the family of Anicet Ekane described the autopsy performed on the body of the opposition leader whose death has shocked Cameroon and Cameroonians, while the family of the deceased requested time to appoint its own forensic pathologist for the examination to determine the cause of the death of Manidem political leader. The authorities preemptively performed an autopsy on Wednesday, carrying out the procedure on the body of this political figure, who died in detention. The lawyers of the family of Anicet Ekane denounced the autopsy as an unacceptable provocation. They have announced legal action against the doctors who performed that autopsy in Yaoundé yesterday. Babila Jonathan has more.
In this letter addressed to the lawyers of Anicet Ekane's family, judicial authorities announced the autopsy for Wednesday. According to our information, the autopsy was done at the morgue of the Yaoundé Central Hospital. The family had made it known through its lawyers that it needs time to have an independent doctor to join the team appointed by the military court.
Il faut dire que le gouvernement n'est pas sérieux.
The lawyers of Anicet Ekane's family described the autopsy carried out as an unacceptable power grab. By contacting representatives of Anicet Ekane's family, the government commissioner insisted on the need for a proper and transparent autopsy. Two doctors based in Yaoundé performed the autopsy in the early hours of Wednesday. The Ministry of Defense, which announced an investigation, did not respond to our request for clarification. Barrister Hippolyte Meli and the other lawyers of Anicet Ekane's family are calling it an act of desecration of the body of the deceased.
Nous allons poursuivre ces médecins légistes.
He says a complaint will be filed against the doctors appointed by the military court.
C'est pour fabriquer une thèse qui sera la thèse gouvernementale.
According to the lawyers, the government is fabricating a cause of death for the Manidem party president.
On organise une autopsie précipitée.
They do not understand what they describe as the authorities' haste. What did Anicet Ekane die of? This is the question the autopsy should answer. The possibility of rejecting the result of the government-commissioned analysis is being strongly considered. In that case, a well-informed source tells us that the family of Anicet Ekane could request a counter-expertise.
And many knew him, Anicet Ekane, as a hardened politician who was ready to die for his country. But the other side of Anicet Ekane, which many people didn't know, was that he was a skilled footballer, and it was thanks to football that he got involved into politics. Sumanjikan Gabriel spoke with the National Communication Secretary of the Manidem political party, Betty Mokuo, who disclosed the other side of Anicet Ekane, which made him always younger than his age.
Anicet Ekane, also known as Jason because of his skills in football, wasn't just a politician as we know him today.
L'histoire a voulu que
history will have it that Anicet Ekane got into politics through sport, precisely football, at his young age. While at the Alfred Sekel College, Anicet was a very good footballer during the college games. While in Bafoussam, the young college team met with the public execution of Ernest Ouandji. The early life of Anicet Ekane didn't only see him as a player, but also as a coach. When he went to study in France, Anicet Ekane continued playing football and then began coaching the team of Cameroonians based in Lille. Apart from football, in which Anicet Ekane was well known for, he also did another sport, martial arts. He also did martial arts as sport and had a black belt in Aikido, which was a martial art purposely for defense. According to the National Secretary in charge of communication for Manidem political party, Ekane's physical appearance was due to his love for sports.
Pour ceux qui ont bien connu le président Anicet Ekane, savaient que de son allure même, il ne portait pas son âge, parce que toute sa vie il a été un très grand sportif qui lui a affecté à la fin de sa vie, mais il a été un grand sportif, c'est pour ça qu'il a toujours paru jeune.
It should be noted that Anicet Georges Ekane decided to be a politician since January 15, 1971, after seeing the courage in which Ernest Ouandji put up, denying to cover his face while he was being executed in the public. Ernest Ouandji was saying, "Long live Cameroon," and this ignited the political light within Anicet Ekane.
Thank you, Smart. Now to news out of the country amidst growing political turmoil in Guinea-Bissau, where civil society groups are vehemently demanding the swift and transparent announcement of the presidential election results following a tense military intervention. Attention also focuses on the DRC, where the National Army is struggling to contain the escalating conflict with the M23 arms group in the eastern region. Let's now have our foreign page roundup with Lo Mayero.
The human rights defenders across West Africa are calling for an immediate proclamation of Guinea-Bissau election results, insisting that the winner must be declared without delay. The appeal follows last week's military takeover, which plunged the country into uncertainty just as citizens awaited provisional election outcome. In a joint statement issued Sunday in Dakar, several civil societies and human rights organizations condemned the intervention by the armed forces, describing it as a direct and unaccepted assault on the sovereignty of Guinea-Bissau people. They argue that the action of the military amount not only to the cop but calculated attempt to undetermine and potentially outturn the will of voters. In USA, President Donald Trump hosted the leader of Congo and Rwanda today for a deal signing aimed at ending the conflict in eastern Congo and opening access to the regional critical minerals for the USA government and American companies. Lauded by the White House as a historic agreement brokered by Trump, the so-called Washington Accord for Peace and Prosperity between President Felix Tshisekedi of Congo and Paul Kagame of Rwanda, following month-long peace efforts by the U.S. and partners, including the African Union and Qatar, and finalized the earlier deal signed in June. The Democratic Republic of Congo's army and Rwanda-backed M23 rebels traded accusations of ceasefire violation on Tuesday, 2 days before the White House is set to host the signing and an accord to end fighting in the country's east. The United States and Qatar have been mediating talks, restoring peace in North and South Kivu provinces, where clashes have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. Rwanda has denied backing M23, which says it is fighting to protect Tutsi community in eastern Congo.
So that does it for the first part of the news, viewers. Thank you so much for staying. Let's now move on to Talking Point. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Henriette EKWE. She is a political activist, a close aide to Anicet, Ekane, and she is also a freedom fighter. Thank you so much, Madam, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points tonight. Now, we want to know from you how you received the announcement of the sudden death of Anicet Ekane in detention, considering that you were in contact with him almost on a daily basis while he was in prison in Yaoundé.
There is a small central center in the gendarmerie, and when the lawyer went to the gendarmerie to say, I want this appareil for Anicet, they said, we will not give you that appareil. And they told him that we will never have it back. So the internet started talk about that. And when they came back in the gendarmerie, in his bedroom, they brought this appareil concentrator of oxygen. And he said that I will not touch it because I don't know if it is okay or if they have put some poison inside. I will not use it. But on Friday afternoon, they came to his room, 2 gendarmes. They say, you better wake up, we have to take you to the military court. And he said, why? Why should you take me to the military court without my lawyer? And they said, this is what we have got as an order to bring you immediately to the military court. And his wife was there. And when I went out, they saw Njekam and Professor Abaoyono coming to enter this car. And Anicet told his wife, go and call my lawyer. So they took him there. The lawyer came and he asked the commissioner of government, what we call procureur, why should you take my client out without me, without telling me that we have to go to the military court today? And immediately, Anicet had a very, very big malaise. It was really, they had to make people come and try to wake him up. And then they went back to the gendarmerie camp. And I think that this is the one which killed him, because that happened in the afternoon of Friday and he died in the night of Sunday.
Henriette EKWE, you visited Anicet Ekane in Yaoundé several times when he was in detention. Can you tell us about the detention conditions in which he was, considering his deteriorating health?
Yes, but when you are sick, you have some sickness which you cannot take out, put them in the gendarmerie and say he's sick. It's not easy, because his lungs had holes. And when Atanganji saw the doctors in CHU, they told him that this CHU is a training hospital for the students, medical doctors. And when he told him, he will never be completely healed, since he's over 70 years old. So they knew that we cannot take this kind of person to the
And now, Henriette EKWE, there are speculations that Anicet Ekane did not die naturally. He was killed. What do you say?
When I came to visit him, he told me, they know that I can die here. And I'm not sure that I'll go out of here still alive. And they know that. So if they have done that, they have killed him. They knew that he will never be healed. And when they come and take him, say, okay, habille-toi. Now we are going to the military court. Say, how can you take me to the military court without this appareil? I cannot go. And he said, I cannot use this apparatus without an expertise of any substance or poison that they can put into this apparatus.
And what were some of the discussions you guys had while you visited him in prison?
Yes, we don't want this autopsy because the doctors that they are convening for that, they are the doctors. So we have to have independent doctors to make the autopsy, because they can change it. They can say that maybe he was poisoned by his friends and so on. So we cannot release on their expertise. No, never. We have to be vigilant, so we don't want them to touch the corpse of Anicet Ekane.
Thank you, Madam Henriette EKWE. You were talking about the autopsy which has been somehow forcefully done by Yaoundé, and the family seems to be against it, and you heard the report by Babila Jonathan. Now, Henriette EKWE, before we go, if you were to speak on the corpse of Anicet Ekane, as a freedom fighter just like he was, what are you going to tell him?
You have died as a martyr, an hero, like your spiritual father, that means Ernest Wanji, because he was in Bafoussam when Wanje was shot by the regime of Ayijo. So I'll tell him, as we say in French, salut l'artiste. That means you have done your work till the end of your life. You didn't have any protection, but you continue to work for your country.
His legacy lives on shore. Thank you so much, Henriette EKWE, for accepting to be our guest on the news tonight and to talk about your relationship, the detention condition, and also the death of Anicet Ekane. Thank you, and hope to have you some other time, madam. And viewers, we thank you so much for being with us always. That was what we put together for you this evening on the news in the English language. Our programs continue tonight. Equinoxe will be yours at 7 p.m. And the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. with Irish Ngono Mala. Stay with us on Equinoxe. Bye-bye for now. And see you again tomorrow, same time, God willing.